Hey guys, and welcome to today's Q&A open training event and meditation slash all that. Today, if we are able, we're going to have a guest sharing the screen, and I think he's just arrived. Just need to send me a speaker request and I can let him on. But we're going to share the screen today. We're going to get into a bit of a discussion where, hey mate, just send me a speaker request and I can let you on. And we're going to get into a bit of a discussion today. We're going to ask some questions to poke and prod the brain, the mind, and see if we can stir some stuff up, get some things moving for people watching, participating, trying out what we have here. Here we go. It's going to take a minute or two to get on. It's always a bit glitchy, this platform. I'm not sure why. Every time I go to ask them for support, they always say it's my internet connection. So there's a lot of passing the buck going on. So we're just waiting for a moment while this all kicks into gear. In the meantime, just take a breath, relax, kick back, strap in. Okay. So we usually go for about an hour, hour and a half, depending on how the tempo and the frequency goes. And we'll just start off with a particular topic and then see where that goes and do some free flowing. See if we can get into the zone and create that vortex, that morphogenic field for you to tap into. So just while we're getting set up, if you can get in the right state by just focusing in your heart center, in the chest area, just bring your attention here. Sometimes it's easier if you put your hand on there. Just begin to breathe and relax. Just focus your attention on relaxing. Calming down, bring your attention into the present. And all we're really doing here is allowing our mind to detach from the beta frequency, which we're sort of conditioned into, and to slip into another state, like an alpha or a theta state, or other states. Just breathing and relaxing. And just being patient while we connect here. And if you're just tapping in and joining in now, just let me know in the chat feed that you're on board. You can hear everything fine. And you're ready to go. Okay, cool. And Aaron, if you can just send me another request because it doesn't seem to have recognized you here. Okay. So that request has been acknowledged. We should get online any second. Hey, Elizabeth. Thanks for joining. Okay, so as we're waiting for this speaker request to connect and Aaron to join the screen with me and start the Q&A, I'd just like you to take some breaths, relax, go into your heart center, just chill out, start to change your energy, sort of drop into a bit more of a relaxed state, a bit more open state, so things can start to move around, energy can shift and change. And he should be here any second now. There he is. Welcome to the real. I can't hear you just yet. I'm just going to have to...
There you go.
Beautiful.
Awesome. I had to go through all these tests. It was like, do you want to do this? And do you want to do that?
I know. It's a gauntlet, right?
Yeah. I need to get a new laptop. My quality is like not so good.
I don't think it's your laptop, mate. I think it's the platform we're using. It's just...
You're crystal clear.
Yeah.
You're like...
Yeah, well, that's good. It's a little glitchy, and when we eventually switch over to the replay, you'll turn out perfect, but I'll be like
stuck in the matrix.
Yeah. It's my energy's not that digestible clearly yet, so we're working on that.
Be above it. That's good, brother. It's nice to be here for the first time on your amazing webinar series, and
yeah, it's great to have you. I'm really excited to get into this Q&A and see where it's going to flow to.
Yeah.
And we're not really restricted by time here, so we've got hour and a half. We can go as long as we like.
Oh, fantastic! It's good. Yeah, I've got a meeting at 8:30, 9, so like an hour and a half is
perfect.
Yeah, it's all good.
All right,
cool. Fantastic. Just seen my picture's fallen down. You don't see it. Now got a wonky picture.
The sun's setting at the moment. Yeah.
Exactly.
Finishing an old chapter. So I thought we'd just open up the Q&A. The idea that I've presented here with the Q&A, it's just to provoke different ways of thinking. Maybe poke the mind here and there, stir up some things to work with. I'll ask questions, you ask questions, we can tackle questions together and just sort of have a bit of a dance with it and see where it all goes.
Sounds awesome.
And tap into that flow state. And then Elizabeth, who's watching, and whoever watches later on can sort of maybe just get caught up in the vortex of it.
So Elizabeth is one of the two incredible beings that are in LA. She's one of the two.
Oh, in LA.
She is in. Yeah, I had the meeting with them yesterday, and they wanted to get in touch and get to know you a bit more. And yeah, they're there. Her and Chris there, and we had an amazing meeting yesterday. Just words cannot describe and explain. But we have a very special connection, me and Elizabeth, and me and Chris, and they're doing some amazing work in LA at the moment, and with great potential for amazing change. But it's all a bit secret at the moment, hush hush, as it were, because you don't speak about these things until it's fully actualized and things. So I'm not at liberty to discuss and disclose. But I'm sure that if you guys meet up and talk and things, you will learn a bit more about that. I'm sure that it was very exciting to share with another being who is in service to the planet and humanity and all these different things. All of us together need to be more together, more unified, which is, I believe, what's happening now, which is so cool.
Well, you're very close. All right, well, we'll have to, once we finish up here, Elizabeth, Chris, we'll have to work out how to meet up and have a chat in person. That'd be really good.
There we go.
All right, so let's kick it off, hey? So we talked yesterday, Aaron, and the question, well, I don't know if it's a question, it's more of a statement, really. But it's that the common factor that I've come across, people working in self-help in the wellness industry and coaches and etc. It's like, and I was an example of this yesterday with you, is that we do all this work with the people, with our clients, with our people we're working with, and we give them the tools and the exercises and the practices, and then a week later they come back to us like, what's going on? I need your help again. And it's like, well, have you done the exercises? Have you used the tools? And they go, no, I haven't done it. Or actually, that's the honest version, right? That would be the honest version. The more likely version is, well, I had this story and life happened to me and my dog ate my homework and the cat ran away, and it turns into this, blues song that just goes on.
It's not really my fault.
No, the responsibility wasn't mine. It was external to me and separate from me. And so I think it's a real common thing. It's sort of where, as a collective, where the consciousness generally is in phase, and it's moving towards that taking responsibility. But I think, well, I know from my experience, taking on all of that responsibility, being one with the universe, it's a heavy load to just jump into,
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts on it? Why don't you kick it off and we can sort of go with it from there?
Yeah, it's an incredible topic. I'm getting a bit of feedback. I'm not sure.
I'll just turn the sound down here.
Okay. Yeah, it's a really hard transition, it seems, to make, because we live in a world that is not we're not trained to understand that we create our realities. You know, the things that we believe, the things that we have inside us, literally formulate and filter the infinite possibilities into the reality that we expect. And that's a really challenging thing to get your head around, because then people who are living in anxiety, pain, fear, suffering, depression, that is the least thing that anyone ever wants to do, is accept that I am doing this to myself. And it's always, oh no, this person and that person and the blame. And so it's a really challenging thing to have happen, is accept that we are fully responsible for everything that goes on in our life, because it's been so trained into us. You know, it's not even slightly, when the majority of the planet, it seems, from my opinion anyway, I have to keep putting that in there, because who knows how many awakened people are here now. But from the vast majority, and from what I've seen, is people are not even shown or brought into the awareness that we are creating our reality. Because it's just such a scary, as you said, it's really scary to admit, and then to have to dive into this infinite pool of possibilities, and how do I change, how does it work. And the thing that happens, in my opinion, is that, you know, when somebody's given something to do, like a meditation exercise, or, you know, whatever it may be, a shield, you know, we still don't understand the tiny impacts of a single action. You know, that's the, for me, the fullness of it is that we don't understand, but just by one thought, one action, one word shapes and creates and molds our reality. And so by doing the tiny bits and pieces are the thing that shapes everything. But all these tiny things happen to us, and we allow it to happen because it's always happened. But then when we don't fully understand that if we take control of one aspect, then slowly but surely we start to take on control of all aspects. But it just starts with the one thing. And, you know, even for pros like yourself and myself, you know, that have been doing this work for a long time, it's still, yeah, no, I didn't do that today. And then and then you feel the impact of not doing that one thing. But that one thing is, it sets everything up for, like, you know, whether it's a meditation, whether come into stillness, awareness, peace, unity, harmony inside ourselves, or protecting ourselves from the density of the world around us. Just those one things can radically shape, shift, mold, and change our days. And what from the one day then changes our life, because the one day happens over and over and over again. And yeah, it's a challenging thing to get into, but once I think the solid concept of everything that I do matters, everything that I think matters, then all of a sudden it can be like, what am I doing? What am I thinking? What am I saying? And it's something that me and Elizabeth actually, you know, Elizabeth really brought it into my awareness, that I've been doing it when we first met, is I say something which will be an old program, like, oh, I don't have any money. And then I'm like, whoa, what's that? I have so much money, I have infinite money, all the abundance, all the wealth, but I have to, like, retract myself. I have to retract this program that, like, you know, even if it's, I know that I'm an infinite abundant being, but right then and there in my account, I've spent all my money. And I was like, my mum was like, oh, do you have any money? I just want to do this. And I said, oh, sorry, right now in my account, I said, I don't have any money. But that statement is like all encompassing. It's not just right here and then. And it's about learning that what we say, what we think, what we do, and how we act. And then obviously the feelings that go along with that do matter. And I believe that that's the root of this, is the programs that are still in us don't allow us to fully embody this truth that everything matters. Everything has an impact. Because if we truly understood that and embodied that in all of its infinite truth, that we would not say, do, think anything that isn't of the alignment of absolute awesomeness that we, in all of our individuality, are, and as a whole and as a collective. That's my 2 cents on that, I believe.
I think that was worth a lot more than 2 cents, mate. I think I think you can put that in the bank. towards your infinite money creation. Yeah, I think the one of the things that keeps coming up lately is with people like yourself who are really in there, grinding it out, is that this last year has been quite a heavy year in terms of navigating certain thought forms, different potentials. Um, and I think that's a
Predictions.
key is that, this navigation through time and through potential timelines is something that really needs to be looked into a little bit deeper because, like you said, every thought uh, puts you on a certain trajectory into a timeline.
Mm,
And right now it's minuscule. This it's oh, I don't have any money in the bank, or hey, the money's going to show up. When the
mm,
time's right, is a totally different course, right?
okay.
And over, if you project that way out, years down the track, you'll end up with a timeline that you already know about because that's where you've come from already. Or
Mm,
if you go, well, it's just going to show up, I'm going to go act towards it, and the money will appear, it will manifest.
mm,
Then if you keep doing that over time, then it's like a muscle. You're going to get stronger in that area. And
mm,
so, you know, I'm sure you're moving into this space too. And I don't want to make this just about you. It's a general thing, but just as an example, is that when we've been training in this a long time, we've been doing a lot of it for free. We've helped a lot of people. We know we're good at what we do, all that sort of stuff. We know that we know now. And you get to this point where you're like, hey, I think I should be charging a fee for this because, I'd like to feed my body good food so I can have the energy to put it into people more
mm,
and, pay my rent and have a good lifestyle and reaffirm all those things. And, I know what that feels like. I've definitely been in those situations many times. And sometimes you just have to start to lean into that new future, even though there's no evidence of it around or it's only
mm,
in your imagination. And so that's why, like, I started to charge this tiny little fee for these webinars.
mm,
It does two things. It stops people from just hijacking and, vomiting in the space, right? And it sort of repels people that aren't really into this type of
mm,
level and frequency. And the other thing it does is for people who are trying to manifest money, it's like it's like in The Secret, you manifest a coffee a day, you manifest just enough to get to the webinar, and that gets you into this habit of creating a little
mm,
bit of income here and there, which
mm,
spills over and starts to grow the neural net out and starts to add more energy in that direction.
mm,
And so then it becomes a habit that you're constantly creating an income for yourself, right? And so I think this whole thing about navigating timelines is really important because if we're really going to take responsibility for our life as a whole and start to accept that we're the dreamer dreaming the dream, and that it's infinite, the potentials are infinite, then we have to take into account the non-linear timelines and being
mm,
able to switch from one timeline to another and really accept that that's not just a possibility but it's a probability, and that we can go, okay, in this timeline, in this moment right now, my mindset and my energy and the morphogenic field that's around me is saying XYZ about my life, my health, my financial situation, whatever.
mm,
But and this is why meditation is such a good tool, is if we can go into meditation and detach from the current reality that's being fed back to us from our old
mm,
mindset from the past, that we can start to change gears and switch into another frequency that
mm,
says something else about our reality. And then we start to project that out.
mm,
And then we get feedback on that new level of programming, that new coding. And as we get momentum with this and we start to get evidence that we're actually changing the field around us and that that's a reality, it's not just a, you know, fantasy, a love and light principle that we read in some book somewhere, you know, or that we learned from some guru at an ashram, that we can start to really exercise the muscle, the one that works, and start to create our reality in a more precise and focused manner.
Yeah, very much so. There's a part with this that I wanted to just to add on, that you really mentioned about having that thing of faith. You know, when we start to change our energy, and we come from the old way, and the morphogenetic field around us is being and attracting, you know, whatever that we have experience in the past, whether it's lack or limitation or, you know, disease or whatever is going on in our field. To change that energy signature takes, you know, as you amazingly said, the meditation it's like the ancient science that is so far advanced beyond anything that we fully even understand yet. We can change the neurological pathways, we can bring up energy through our body, which is the work of Dr. Joe, where we both met. But doing this, changing the energy field. But there's also, I believe, something quite important with that is the mental side of faith while you're doing the work is very important. And it's why amazing, like I'm so amazed and like in awe of like the community that you've created and things like that, because by actively being together in a community and by sharing the experiences and sharing information and knowledge, like the more you can feed your mind about this sort of information, the more likely you are to succeed in sticking through it and getting through to the side where you will change your energy field completely into a new vibration, a new frequency, and then you'll be able to attract. But the journey from A to B is not like it doesn't go like that. You've got to go this way and that way, and then you've got to find the information. But what enables the journey into like, for me anyway, what really solidified my journey that I had to make this happen was because I read everything as much as I possibly could, and that information, everybody was pointing towards one truth, and the truth was there, and all the teachers and all the things were just pointing at this one thing. And so what I was doing was I was going to teacher to teacher to teacher, and then I was just sort of following the thing. And I did it by reading and studying books for years, like almost solidly 2 years now. But like, I know that that's not everyone's purpose and journey to do that, but having a community such as yours and many others like that, you know, while we're on this journey, it's so essential that we have the support either from teachers, you know, if you're reading literature, if you're reading spiritual texts, if you're, you know, Dr. Joe, Wayne Dyer, Eckhart Tolle, all of the amazing people out there, they're all pointing to the same thing. But some people don't want to do that. Some people want to have the human interaction, just like this, like webinars that we're talking and we're sharing and we're doing. But also, you know, if you're out there, find a buddy, you know, find 2 buddies or 3 buddies or whatever it is, and just make a little personal WhatsApp group or Facebook, like, have you done your meditation today? I missed mine today, or do whatever. And just to support each other along the way, because that is how I really believe that we'll be able to grow, is when we have a big community, but also have smaller communities that will help support this. Because to traverse, as Dr. Joe, to take Dr. Joe's words, to traverse the river of change is challenging, and doing it by yourself is a challenging thing. And that's where faith comes in. And for those who have strong faith, it's easier, but faith is given by also support and community, which is an important, I really believe it's an important part of all of this.
Yeah, because it can look, I'm going to do a myth bust here and demystify something. You know, this journey is not always fun. And it's not always, you know, positive. And I mean, that's not great marketing, is it? Like, it's not going to, hey, come and change your life, stir up your traumas, clear them out, feel all the pain and all the crap you're going through. And when you get to the other side, you'll feel better. You'll feel amazing. Um, yeah, people are like,
Amazing,
no, I
Dylan.
don't think I want to do that. I think I'd just rather wear happy pants and meditate in the lotus position while holding crystals. That seems like a lot more fun. And I think in the beginning, we've got to, we're sort of trying to get people involved and give them an experience that is positive so they can sort of get a taste for it and get excited about getting in the driver's seat and becoming a pilot of their own reality.
Hmm.
Um, but like the saying goes, a calm sea never makes a good sailor, you know. And if you want to progress and get more masterful at this, you're going to come up against stuff. You're going to come up against yourself, and so having the community there is really positive in the way that you'll get support there when you need it. Um, some of these experiences, and you could probably attest to this, are going to put you right up against you questioning your sanity. You know, am I freaking crazy here? Is this really happening? Did I just create that experience? Like, how is that possible? All these things are going to come up for you, and um, I think if we were in the ancient mystery schools, 10,000 years ago in ancient Egypt or ancient Greece, then it'd just be par for the course, and that's just another Tuesday, and we just get back into training and get on with it. But in today's day and age, where we've been so conditioned into this forgetfulness, when people start to wake up, it can be really confronting,
Mm.
you know. And like in the metaphor of the Matrix, you're going to come up against agents, and you know you're going to
They will
get
try
fired
and
upon.
convince
You're
you.
going to get all this resistance at you. And I think part of that is because there's a lot of relationship. When I say relationship, I don't mean necessarily romantic. I mean interaction between two energies, and the signature between the two. When you start changing your energy, that signature changes, and there's a disconnect. And people who you were connected to are going to like reach out and go, hang on, what we had this relationship connection where energy was going backwards and forwards, whether it was balanced or not, and now that you've changed your energy, that I'm not getting fed the same way I was, or I'm not
Mhm.
getting the same validation or reflection that I was. Now it's shifted, and I'm not sure if I like that. So go back to who you used to be.
Mm.
Don't change
Or,
anymore. Slow
or
down,
else. This is
and
usually.
you can get resistance like that. So having community around you, people who are training in this and practicing this, um, and it has to be sort of open ended in my mind. It can't be like linked into any particular doctrine or modality. If people, it's got to be free so everyone can experiment in their own way. Because at the end, we're trying to connect back to the source, which is everything and is a container of everything, right?
Yeah, it's a big thing. I think I'm part of lots and lots of groups on Facebook, and I don't interact nearly with any of them because every single group there is people. This is right. This is wrong. This is what I know.
Yeah,
This is what you have to do. This is this. If you're not religious, if you don't do this, no, you can't be religious. Blah 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 blah. And it's everybody telling everybody what everyone else should do.
yeah.
And like the best thing that I personally believe that you can do on this path is listen to yourself. But along that, you obviously you can't shape and change and grow if you're not having new information, if you're not
Mm,
digesting things from people who have walked the path before you. So be very, very careful with who you listen to.
mm,
Be very, very careful with what you are absorbing or what you allow into your space. You know, check. with everything. Check on everybody. Don't listen to anybody that you've just met that you don't know. Check on the authority that they hold. Do they like live the existence that you want to live? Have they had the experiences that you want to have? And if they don't, and they haven't, you do not listen to them, no matter what they say. But we live in an amazing time where there's some amazing beings on the planet. Like, for example, Dr. Joe Dispenza, that we both know and love. But there's a great hero of mine. He's called Seth Guru. He's like an Indian mystic. He's like, oh my gosh, he's way. He's way. And that, then also Eckhart Tolle, he's still one of the masters in his book Power of Now. I've just finished it again. Like, they're all saying one thing, like, listen to yourself, but do so in this way. Look at it from this way or that way. And then find, as Brett and myself were saying, find people who really want to do this journey and take this journey, because more and more people are now waking up to the lie of this reality that we've been fed, and more people are waking up to, this doesn't feel right, this isn't right, like, money is not going to solve my problems. It doesn't matter if I'm a millionaire, a billionaire, or whatever, and I have a wife, a family, 7 homes. Like, there is something missing from humanity, and it is our connection to source, a connection to ourselves, the inner journey that needs to be taken. And as the mystic schools that are no longer here, and it's actually one of the big things. So I'm working with some of the Grand Masters since way back. No, sorry, not way back. They go way back, like this life, previous lives, eons back. And now they're coming here again, and they actually are, one of their missions and purposes is to re-establish these schools. Re-establish these places where people can go and they can study and they can learn the way that humanity is, the potential, the possibilities, and everything that we hold, because it's very essential. But until those places occur, which won't be long, I don't think, not so. I have great investment in the future for these things, and I'm sure Brett as well, you do. But find the people who you do. In these communities, you will find people, find the people that aren't yelling at each other first of all, and then just link up, team up, and just and then join together, because together is where we have our strength. Together is where we can weave our way through the system that is trying to keep us shut down and locked off and unconnected.
Yeah, well, to bridge that with talking about creating your reality. There's so much around at the moment that is reinforcing a particular type of reality, which we all know about, which we're all sort of getting to the point of having enough of, I think, hopefully, and the thing is that it's not so much happening to us. We are participating in the recreation of it consistently, constantly. And it's usually, I think, it's just because people haven't really checked to see what else is available yet, right? And when we're talking about manifesting and creating our own reality and taking responsibility, it's a bit of a slap in the face when you get confronted with that reality that you've accepted this. How do I put this? You've accepted the suggestions to create this particular reality that you're maybe not satisfied with, by placing your attention on particular brands, participating in the news and politics, getting into the complain game with people, the gossip game with people, constantly looking back into the past, giving your power away to other people to make decisions for you because maybe you're a bit lazy. And to really get in, when you get hit with that reality that, hey, my life is how it is because I've allowed it to be created in this way. I've just let certain things slide, and I haven't been the guardian at the gate. And I've just let anybody in. I just let any thought in. That can be pretty confronting, you know. When people say, oh, why can't I manifest some certain things? It's like the question is almost coming from, am I able to manifest? It's like, yes, you are. You're actually manifesting all the time, everything, right? Everything is constantly a manifestation. Can you hear those seals in the background?
Yeah, it's amazing.
They're going off. Yeah, I'm near the marina here, so the seals like to get up and have a bit of a chat.
Yes. Beautiful.
Yeah. So, we're constantly creating all the time, but we're creating on autopilot. It's like we're in the plane, we're in the seat, but it's on autopilot, and we're just going to the same courses we've been on. So this whole thing about faith, it's not so much I think we need faith to manifest and I'm not trying to correct or anything here, I'm just saying how I heard it, is that we're always manifesting everything anyway, but maybe our choices and our observations are in a lacking. Maybe they're not of a good quality, or they're not matching what we're really longing or yearning for. And so when we switch into accepting that and going, okay, everything in my life is the way it is because I've allowed it to be that way, and I've created it automatically without even trying. That's a really good
starting point.
I'm doing this on auto. I'm not even trying to manifest my life. It's just happening. It's on autopilot. And you go, okay, cool. Maybe not cool, but all right, I accept it, right? I accept that. And when we first get into manifesting, there's all this effort going into creating stuff like more money, better relationship, better job, right? But when we get there, don't we want that manifestation of that new level to be automatic as well? So we don't have to hold it up. We don't have to put any effort into it. Like, money just flows into my life all the time. I don't even have to think about it. I connect with good people all the time. I don't even have to think about it. It just happens to me. Just like my old reality just happened to me. Right? And so I think if we like play with that a little bit, then we can go, all right, well, maybe I don't need to put so much effort in to the point where I'm driving myself nuts. Maybe if I just make these little adjustments, go into meditation, go into the operating system of the mind. Like on your computer here, you don't just play with the icons anymore. You go into the terminal. You tweak a little bit of code here and there, and you come back out into your life. And you just live your life the way it was because you've accepted it now, right? You've accepted where you're at. And then all of a sudden, these little things pop up in your reality to show you that the code is actually different. And you go, cool. My program worked. Okay. Or you see a bug pops up and it's like it's not working, but something's different. So you can see where the changes are being made. Because every time you make this change internally, it must reflect out there. If we really take responsibility, it's like, and we use the metaphor of the movie The Matrix, it's like we're in this cocoon, right? And everything we're thinking and feeling projects out and gives us neural feedback to tell us this is what you're thinking and feeling. And so if you're in a good, if you're having a good thought or a good feeling and it reflects back to you and you like that, well, then you record that and then you go, okay, well, maybe I can extrapolate that and copy paste that part of the code somewhere else and somewhere else and somewhere else. And then over time, you get all these reflections that your code is working. And also over time, you're going to get, you're going to be able to debug a lot easier. You're going to see where the code's breaking, where it's not working, you know, where it's glitchy.
Yeah.
And then, you know, after a while, when you get practiced at this, like going to the gym, you know, you start to get strong everywhere. You start to get, you know, better tonality. You start to get fitter. You can run longer. You can do all this stuff. You start to become really aware of where the weaknesses are, or not so much weaknesses, but where the code is not matching up with your new potential. And then you start to seek these areas out. You know, you don't run from them and try to escape from them anymore. I see a lot of people getting into spirituality because they want to escape their life. And that to me isn't spirituality. Spirituality is, you know, going into your life and tackling it on, you know, taking it on and doing something with it. And so my background was in martial arts, and you know, not being stuck in any, and I did many styles, you know, and I had different teachers, and when things got a bit weird or a bit too indoctrinated, I'd move on. Because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter where the style comes from or what the technique is, if it's not effective in sparring or in fighting or in your life, then it's useless, right? You can be the traditionalist, you can wear the gi, and you can have the writing and everything, but if that doesn't help you in the ring or in life, then you know, it's just a garnish. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's important to realize and understand as well that this doesn't. It can happen instantaneously. By all means, it can. Like, everything and anything is possible. But if, say, for example, we have been programmed for 30 years in one way, then you don't unprogram from the level of being programmed for 30 years in a short amount of time. Really, I mean, it does happen. It does happen. Eckhart Tolle was a prime example. He was programmed, and on his nearly 30th birthday, quantum leap from depression, almost suicidal, all the way up into the upper realms. But the quantum leap is so rare, and to rely on that to happen is not. So this is what I suppose, and maybe I didn't explain it well, where the faith comes in, is that even though you start exactly from this point of, I accept everything in my reality, I accept that I'm changing, creating my reality every nanosecond, and accept that where we are is where we have chosen to be, even unconsciously, but then consciously you can choose how to go forward. But sorry. But how we do that is not instantaneously, because we come from the limited place of unconscious programming, and so then to go into a conscious program, it's like learning how to, you know, write code on an actual computer. It's complicated as shit. I believe I've tried, but you know, this is exactly the same analogy. You know, you don't all of a sudden become a programmer. You start, you go forward, and you try and you fail, and you try and you fail, and this is where the faith comes in, is that I know that what I can achieve is possible. I know that I can create, shape, mold, you know, manifest any reality that I want in any way, shape or form. And have that faith is the important bit, and that's where the support comes in. But just know that it is possible, but you got to keep going, and you got to find the right style, you know, whether it's, you know, or whatever for you, because so many people do this so differently. I mean, in an infinite universe, there's infinite ways to do infinite things. Exactly. And when you look out, it's so daunting sometimes, because it's so much, it's ridiculous amounts. Exactly. Yeah, but it's only about, you know, it's paralysis by analysis, or whatever it's called. It's sometimes analysis. Looking analysis by paralysis. That's the one. Thank you. Back to front. is you got to go, you got to move, you got to try. And this is exactly, you just said so well, Brett, about spirituality. To me, spirituality, my choice was to charge at my problems and find out and do and like sort and things. But you know, to solve something, you've got to go into it. You can't run away from it. It's never going to go. You've got to go into it and figure out why and what and where and how, and then it all unravels. And then from the unraveling, you're like, that bit worked, I'll take that bit, and then you leave everything else. And but these bits happen incrementally. They don't happen like all at once. And so it's the journey is fantastic. It's incredible. It's so rewarding. But at the same time, it can be quite challenging, lonely, you know, at times, because, you know, when you do start changing, as Brett mentioned, you know, earlier, is people won't like you when you change. They're like, well, you used to reaffirm who I am and what I am and how we feel and what we talk about, and your worldview feels with my worldview. And now that you're changed, what are you doing? And so sometimes we have to break away from the people that want to keep us in a certain thing, and that can be challenging, which is why, once again, it comes back to the support. Like, who are you talking to? Who are you surrounding yourself on a regular basis? You know, who are you having constant communication with? Thank you. Sometimes my brain talks way too fast for my mouth. Constant communication with. It's very important that we have the support to then, you know, say, oh, I did my meditation today, you know, or just, you know, just share something with somebody, and then you know, have that support that will help you along the way, you know, step by step, stone by stone, up by up, bit by bit. But we as human beings have been programmed unconsciously. If it doesn't happen instantaneously, I don't want it to happen. That's a world we live in. If it's not, if instantaneous gratification
magic
is,
pill.
I want the magic pill. I want it to happen now. And spirituality is not that way. It's not that thing. It's a journey. But the end result, where you can be, what you can experience on a moment-to-moment basis, there's no words in any language in all of the universes, in the infinite cosmos, that can tell you how worth it is. It's amazing. And it's worth it, but you got to keep going. And sometimes
I see you know, when you're talking about that, it seems like half the battle is getting momentum in the right direction, right? Because when I see you speaking, it's like you're speaking to people who are just sitting there like, impress me. Why should I do? You tell me your unique selling point of why I should do this, right? And you're like, just get moving, and you'll start to get momentum. And when you get momentum, things will start to happen, and you'll start to get good at things, and you'll start to have fun with it. And then things are going to open up, and your vision's going to change, your perception's going to change. And all of a sudden, you're going to have all these new abilities are going to be activated, or you're going to become aware of how you're already doing stuff, but you're going to get more precise with it. And before you know it, you're in a new timeline, you're in a new dimension. And it just sort of happens if you move towards it, right? If you move into it. And when you're getting up to that speed, you know, then it's easy to make these turns. It's much easier to do this because you've got, you know, your reality is more malleable now. You know, it's more flexible. Whereas before, it's stuck and stiff, and it takes all this effort to start to shift and change it. And, you know, I guess I was watching a documentary on the old Blackbird SR-71, the spy plane. You remember those back? And so they were built in the 60s, and they were operational till like late 80s, like 30 years. Like, this is it's a incredible program that they did, and it was like an hour documentary, but the amount of development and design and engineering and preparation and the training of the pilots and everything that took, you know, not only did they select the pilots from the best of the ranks on, you know, all these seemingly unrelated programs, you know, fighter planes, bombers, all these different types of pilots. Not only did they select the best of each program, but then after that, they had 10 months of pure training, like all day long, constantly, before they even went operational on their first flight. Right? They had lots of simulations, they had lots of test flights, all this sort of stuff. And so there's this a massive amount of preparation that went in to get them ready to do that. And I mean, not even talking about the engineering side of things. You know, the plane was made of titanium, so they had to make new tools to make the plane. The engines were a combination of ramjet and afterburner engines or something like that. So there was so much in development that took place, and then to get that plane in the air. And then prior to that, there was all this testing that went on with other programs as well before they finally, got the right recipe. And when you talk about things being so worth it, it's like I can only imagine what these pilots were experiencing, being the only ones at 80 and 90,000 feet, flying along at Mach 5 or whatever, which was unprecedented at that time, and being able to see the curvature of the Earth. That is a whole shift in perception that most people rarely get to experience. And so when you're in these levels flying along like that, in your practice, having a great time, and you're trying to talk to people who are considering taking their first flight in a Cessna.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, how do you tell them what you're experiencing? Even if you had the right words, they can't connect to that, and I know how frustrating that can be. And so part of the community that I'm building here with you and others is like, all right, you guys are pretty good pilots, just put your beginner classes down for 10 minutes a week, an hour a week, and let's go fly. Let's go really fly. Let's go up really high. Let's go really fast. Let's go really deep, and let's see what kind of data we can get, so we can start, pushing this envelope a little bit here or there, or not just pushing the envelope, but let's see if we can refine stuff to filter back down to the beginner level to make it a lot more easier, a lot more enticing, a lot more, we don't want to take the experience of learning away from people, but we want to be able to give them as much as they're going to need so the jumps aren't so big.
Yeah, it's really interesting you say that, because the thing on my wall behind me here is exactly that. That was a very incredible spiritual teacher, a very special mentor to me. He went as high as you can possibly go, and goes into these other dimensional realities. And that is a code from the 15th dimension. Is the highest possible place, you can go without leaving energy and things and matter and all these different things in this universe. And he brought that down for precisely this reason, for precisely to take something vastly complex that can go, and then, bring it down and bring it into the 2D. And it's a shield to help protect, which is what I was talking about earlier, because, we're living in a world where there's so much going on around us that, sometimes protecting ourselves can be a really challenging thing, but it's also so important. I ask my partner all the time, she's having a bad day and she's doing this, and I'm like, did you protect yourself this morning? She's like, no. And it's the sort of thing that it's the little tiny actions or whatever, but using a tool like that, that this incredible master went and got from pushing the envelope and going all the way and then bringing something back down. And I do believe, Brett, that we've spoken about it already, I think, to go to these places and return with tools simplified in ways, that just like that. I mean, that can be used by anybody, and I'm giving it to people who I'm helping and clearing and bringing back into alignment so that they can keep that alignment, and that's the beautiful thing for it. But yeah, it's very important, I think, that for those who are able to see the curvature of the earth and all these different other things to go and see what is possible, so that we can be of service in the best way. Because I as a big issue for me, I have enormous amounts of passion for this subject and the progression and development of humanity. But sometimes, I start speaking and I'm just comes all out, and then people are like, what? And it has to be a thing for me that I learn how to understand and communicate and speak to where people are, instead of sometimes sharing things that I'm so passionate about but it's not really into anything. It's like, yeah, that's cool information, but WTF, mate.
That's interesting.
Yeah, and then nothing happens, no change happens. And yeah, it's an important aspect, but it's all the journey and development, isn't it? I suppose it's, once you go to these places, it's learning how to then come back and then and go and get to the ins and outs and the nitty gritty and how to action it here now. Like, it's important.
Yeah, I think the tools that are most useful to most people on from beginner level to advanced is the ones that are based in principle and fundamental. And I think that's where people they lose the distinction of this is what you have to do and this is the way you should do things. It's not so much that this is the path and the only path, but things like having an energetic shield when you go into a shopping center or an airport is probably a good thing to have to maintain your focus and your frequency until you don't need it anymore, right? But I think that they've sort of there hasn't been maybe the prep around it to say, oh well, this is why you should have this shield. This is why you should have this piece of code in your energy, because it's going to have this effect. It's going to mitigate against that effect.
Yeah.
Right. And like, just to be really frank, when you did the cube for me, I don't know where I got this from, but I just assumed it was an automatic thing that I didn't have to focus on. But then again, that was, that could have been giving power away to the code, right? So I like that you have to work with it. You have to focus your mind into it and use the tool, not rely on the tool.
Yeah, it's very important on a regular basis that we spend the time to hold our frequency, because whether we know it or not, whether we like it or not, everywhere that we go, the thoughts, the emotions, everything is being projected out of other people. I mean, everyone's probably experienced at some point. You're in a room and somebody walks in and there's this. There's a change in energy, a change in shit. That's what happens when somebody walks into that room. That person has entangled with every single person in that room. That's just the way it works. That's just the way the energy works. And so we are entangling with all these people, with all these beings, with all these environments that have been, not very pleasant. I mean, Jesus Christ. I mean, can you imagine going to Walmart in America where all these people and beings and things that, you need to hold the space and hold the frequency. Otherwise, what happens is just like somebody just like chipping away, down. And then eventually we're talking about the analogy, you're at 100%, you're at 90%, you don't really realize, and then you're at 80%, and then you're at 60%, and all of a sudden you're at 30%. You have no idea how, because it was a slow, gradual process. And it's like the frog in the water. You boil the water slowly, the frog is boiling alive, and no idea how it got there or that it's dying. And that's what's happening with our energy. But it's very important that these things are paid attention to. But yeah, you gotta have the time, put the time in, even if it's just 2 minutes in the morning or something like that. And this code is very special, very sacred. I'm sharing it with beings and things I'm working with, because sharing it with general public right now is I'm told it shouldn't be used for other things. But there are other many ways that I can share with you to shield your energy. For example, just wrapping yourself in a bubble of light, a golden bubble that you just, and it serves and it protects yourself, and, just reaffirm it or redo it every time you go into a dense place like a shopping center, an airport, or whatever. Even just a simple thing like that, your intention creates the world around you, and it will create the shield for you.
Yeah, I mean, until you can, resonate at a frequency that just melts away negativity through all directions of space and time continuously without any effort at all. Until you hit that godlike mode, which is not easy to maintain all the time, I'm assuming.
Yeah, it seems that way. Even the gurus and the mystics or whatever, they need to have their time, their downtime,
Yeah, but I think what we're talking about here, because I think we needed to establish a bit more of a vocabulary terminology around this new emerging space, I guess. And it's Sadhguru actually said, because he has Imagineering, I think it's called.
Inner engineering.
Inner engineering, that's right. So, I remember watching one of his talks, and it really resonated, because this is, very along the same lines of the idea behind energetic arts, is that everything in our physical reality is the extension of our energetic inner reality. And so, like we mentioned coding before, all this is energetic coding, right? That gets collapsed into morphogenic fields, into reality, and then it becomes your experience. And so when we're talking about, shielding your energy, typically the attitude is from a dream catcher, crystal holding spiritual shop, But for me, it's not. It's more like, okay, this is more like cybersecurity, right? Where you need a firewall, you need spyware, anti-spyware, you need anti-malware on your system, because what people don't realize, just like they're only waking up to now in IT and cybersecurity, is that these tiny little holes in your code, in your energy field, can be exploited so badly that it can turn you into a bloody drone, right?
Oh my God.
A zombie. And you won't even know. You won't even know you're carrying out certain programming. And, I know that you can see a lot of that. So I can see you're passionate, because you're like, oh my God, look at that zombie that just walked past. They don't even know, right? Or you're looking at the structure of reality, going, oh my God, this could be a lot better. This is kind of crappy coding. This is crappy programming. Why are we putting up with this? And I think it's because people don't really know that they're inside that matrix, and that it's programmable, and that what we've seen so far, just like in, these, like the Blackbird, it was a secret plane for 30 years. No one knew it. No one was supposed to knew it existed, but it was there. And it was using engineering that was far beyond anything that was being seen in the mainstream. And there were reasons for that we're not going to go into, because I don't want to get all conspiracy theory on people, right? That just scares people off. But it ties in with this idea of breakaway civilizations, right? And in terms of, there are certain people living their life on different frequencies, where their reality is 100,000 years into the future, they're living their life in a way that's future based, and they're not participating in all this, let's call it low vibrational crap, right?
Well said.
Yeah. And, I know that in the beginning, to get people involved and interested, we had to come from that sort of new agey thing where it was all fun and nice and everyone was good to each other and all that sort of stuff. And like Sadhguru was saying when he was talking about Adiyogi, spreading his word around India, at first with the students, when the students would go out to spread the teachings, he would say, if people curse you, just be nice. If people throw dirt in your face, just be nice. And to get root, to get people on the right track, you need to do that, right? But there comes a tipping point where you go, all right, we've got enough people out there now. We've got enough of an infrastructure and network to start really leveling this up and start getting people caught up into our energy fields, which are high vibration, and start pushing this reality into a better frequency. And he said that, now today, because people are like, oh, do we turn the other cheek? And he said, now, don't take shit from anybody. There's millions of people around the world doing this, and if people are going to be rude to you and put you down for doing good things, then, you don't have to put up with that.
Yeah, very much so.
And so, I mean, I don't want to be like nasty or anything, but we're in a position where we can push back on the reality now, as individuals, as a community, as a network around the globe. There are thousands and thousands of people meditating every day, all around the clock, in every country, every continent, and lifting and lifting and lifting. So, when the resistance comes up, when the agents pop out of the matrix, you're allowed to fight back a little bit. You know what I mean? You're allowed to push back. And I think, if we look at that cybersecurity metaphor, we should just patch things. We should just upgrade things. We should just, put those new programs out there and start training people on how to use them. Because if we don't, there's timelines that we just really don't need to go through. I think it's unnecessary to go down those rabbit holes anymore, and perpetuate them.
Agree. Yeah.
Would you agree?
I completely agree. Yeah. Yeah, very much so. There's certain things that need to be understood with the stuff and the codes that I work with. It's not as simple as just being able to like put it out there, because this code, for example, I could share with you guys and with you, Brett, but it is not actually just a code. It is actually a being, and it's a 2D representation, fractal pattern of a 15th dimensional being. And so with sharing it with people that do not have the knowledge, awareness, and presence to treat it with the sacredness and utmost respect that it needs, it doesn't. Whenever I think about just doing and sharing like this, it's like it's a big resistance to that, because people will use it for all these different things, and when something is used, it's sort of like taking a very potent drop of something and then pouring gallons and gallons and gallons and gallons of water in, and all of a sudden it becomes very diluted. And so it's also, if you start shielding with a low vibration, also it doesn't, you need to hold the presence of the highest vibration possible, and then use the shield, and then it comes into the fullness of being. So if I was just to share this with everybody, one, I think my master would be quite annoyed with me. But also, there needs to come a certain amount of either have somebody help you get to the level and remove the things that are happening, which is what I've been doing, and then have other people, whoever. It may not just have to be me. It could be you, Brett. I mean, you have certain amounts of knowledge and things with all of this, and there are many people who do. And then holding that light and that anchor that, and this is what it does: is it holds the high vibrational frequency that nothing can take it away, which is what 3D does. But if everyone was using it with lower vibrational aspects still in their system, it would it goes against the flow of the being that it holds. So, but we both talked about this. I believe that there needs to be the flights to the higher places and brought back down, something that can be moldable and shapeable and workable with a vast majority, because something needs to change and something needs to shift. And there are technologies out there that now can be accessed. And I fully believe that is absolutely what it will be and happen. But right now, I'm still dealing with the ins and outs of everything that I'm expanding into at an accelerated rate. I'm sort of holding on for dear life at the moment. So when things settle, I think that then it will be time for development, growth, pushing the envelope and everything like that. But absolutely, we need to find that way of holding everybody and negating these timelines that are there that no longer need to be traversed. And to do that, I believe that there will be ways, maybe something similar, a 2D representation of something, or even a program or sound therapy or something. All these amazing things are going on that people will be able to listen to, and it will be able to do what I do, but without me being there. That's the idea, is not to have everything personalized, that people have to come to me to have these different things, that everyone will be able to just go, right, listen to this and then use this, and then you're sorted. And then it will be beautiful. Can you imagine the exponential growth and rate that we will see then? But for now, like, we're working with what we have. Yeah, it's a beautiful journey and process, but it's also quite challenging to see the world the way that it is, and stay true to source, stay true to the truth that everything is good, everything is light, everything is perfect, everything is great. Because underneath all the low density, low vibrational crap is the truth, is that everything is perfect. And it's hard to see with the human side of things and stuff that's going on in people's energy field and things that are going on around the planet with the sight that has been gifted to me, and still hold that truth. That's a hard one to factor in and not let it bother and get underneath the skin, and still hold that truth that everything's okay and everything is going towards the way that I want it to be and the way that we all want it to be. But yeah.
The plight of the mystic, huh?
I wouldn't classify myself as one, but it's a beautiful gifts have been given, and I swear on everything that I am to use it for the light and use it for the progression, and to be with you and in arms, brothers in arms, doing all we can do, being we can be, raising and anchoring vibrational light along the planet, and linking beautiful beings together like you, Chris, Elizabeth, and I see great things together. More of us to come together. That's when things really will shift and change. When more of us can hold the space and hold the network, as you were saying, everywhere, and be the light nodes and the anchoring of the stuff. That's really something amazing to focus on right now. What we can do.
Well, I will say, and this is more of an optimistic view now. We've gone down a little bit now. Time to come back up. Is that like we were saying before, accepting the reality as it is, as the baseline. It's like, all right, this is the baseline. Could be better. Could be, right?
Oh yeah.
Could be a lot better.
Course.
But it could be a lot worse too, and I'm glad it's not. So this is a good place to start. And, thankfully we've got all these skills and tools and abilities and connections and communities. And thankfully, I think the energy at the moment is at a tipping point where it's, the chair's just about to go over, and it shouldn't take too much more energy and too much more time, I don't think.
Yeah, I really feel that as well.
And there's going to be a lot of, when the herd starts to wake up, right, and the herd runs, it's going to be, it's going to be a crazy good time. And what an opportunity to make that quantum leap on a mass scale. And what a time it's going to be alive, to see that jump, to actually be here, to see it. Shift from one phase to the next, from one octave to another.
Yes, it's going to be a hell of a journey.
Yeah.
And we all said yes to being here for that journey. And it's a beautiful time that is coming. Been shown, and there's some of the stuff that is going to be. And all I'm doing is focusing on the positive and the optimistic, because the golden timelines that are coming in now that we can seize and anchor, and I know many beings who are doing planetary work, literally anchoring these timelines into the planet and doing all this different stuff. Is anything that you can, and everything anybody who's watching can do, like right here, right now, is take your attention away from the fear, take your attention away from the negativity, take your attention and place it on love, hope, joy, all the things. Focus on the stuff that is going good for you right now, even if it's a tiny infinitesimal speck of something. It's just where you place your attention is where you will place everything, your energy, all these different things. And so what we can do as a collective, even if you're not into meditation, even if you're not into all of these different things, if all you do is just switch off the news in the car radio, like turn down the channel, and then turn it back up after it's finished. Just stop absorbing the fear that is being projected, because even though that it is there are stuff going on out there. Now the balance has tipped. There's so many people, so many beings, so many incredible stuff going on the planet, but you don't hear about it because you're just tuned into the media and what's going on and the fear and everything. There's all these different things, and all you need to do for a certain amount of time, just tune out of the fear, and then the love and the joy will find you. That is, I can promise, because it's everywhere. But if you're focused on the fear, if you're focused on what we're being fed in the system, then there's no room. It's like trying to fill a cup that's already full. It doesn't work. You gotta empty out some stuff that's no longer being of service to you, to the planet, to consciousness. And so that's my optimistic stuff.
Yeah, Timothy Leary, I once heard him quoted, said, it used to be power to the people, but now, and this is back in the 60s or 70s, he said now it's power to the pupil. Right? So you watch what goes into your eyes, watch what goes into your ears. And, I haven't listened to the radio or watched TV for, I don't know. I'm very selective of what goes into my mind, not in a cautious way, but I only just choose what I like, So I have
what makes you feel good.
I have my iTunes, my Spotify account, and I Shazam when I hear a song that I like, and I just build up my playlist, and I just listen to my playlists all the time. So the only thing that goes into my mind is what I choose to go in, and when I get bored of that, that's when I go looking around for something new to expand my mindset with. But going forward with that, now it's like power to the pineal, right?
Ooh.
It's really tuning into those imaginary worlds, those potential realities, those potential timelines, and focusing in on those. And so for me, like a practical thing, and I don't know if you'd even call this a technique or a tool, but I spend half my life walking around in my imagination, headphones in, sunglasses on, half the world. I'm still there, but I'm not in it, you know.
Mm.
And I'm dreaming all the time. And
Yeah.
I'm on the lookout all the time to see where the reality matches my dream.
Nice. That's
And
awesome.
so, yeah. And so, we talk a lot about getting involved in meditation and things like that. And like from the high flyer pilot to the person on the ground scared to leave the ground, we're like, just do 5 minutes a day, just get your hours up in the plane,
Mm.
um, but for me, like, meditation is a tool, right? And meditation is there to train your brain and energy body into different frequencies and states.
Mm.
But once you learn how to tune those states in, like an alpha state or a theta state, while being aware but being conscious, then that's when it's time to leave the room and go outside and see how that frequency is shifting your perception and your reality.
Mm.
And so, I get asked this all the time. Especially when I was traveling in all the workshops, people would say, "So, are you doing your meditations every day?" And I'd be like, "Come on, when am I not meditating? When am I not in a meditative state?"
Mm.
I'm more aware when I'm not in a meditative state now than when I am in one, if that makes
Mm.
sense.
Well, the reverse of that is that you're always in a meditative state.
Mm.
That isn't that you don't come out of it, or you don't. You very rarely like lower the vibrational state or the frequency of the. Because the whole point of meditation, what all these mystics say, is is you don't meditate. You meditate to become meditative.
Yes.
Where and that's what the whole thing is. So you don't sit there and like that for the rest of your life. You sit there and then you get used to the frequencies. And as you said, it's brilliant. It's amazing. It's so beautiful. And I now I think about it, that's what I do.
Yeah.
I listen to the things at work. I listen to my books. I listen to the stuff that I want to do. And then when I go out into the world, I tune in. I tune into nature. I tune into a beautiful tree or something, and I see these incredible things. And all of a sudden, my field expands and I'm feeling love and things, and then I see something negative and I take the love that has been generated and I push it towards people and things and places. And yeah, it's
And so
beautiful.
you start recoding around you just through your intention.
It's such a beautiful way of putting it. I never really thought about it that way, so thank you. It's good.
Yeah, no worries. And so that way, people don't need to make time to meditate. They don't need a place to meditate. They just need to be aware of what meditative state they're in, and go, okay, I really like that one. I'm gonna focus in on that one. I'm gonna get my fitness focus up in that frequency, and lock that in and embody it. And then you go, okay, well, I feel that way when I'm walking on the beach. So great, I'll walk on the beach. I'll get into that state, and then I'll walk home in that state, and I'll see how long I can stay in that state. And I'll start transferring this everywhere I can, anchoring it all over, like a reverse virus. We're talking technology. It's like you start implanting it everywhere. So now your whole life starts to mirror this. Now, the thing is, this is a word of warning, is that when you start to get into these higher, more, let's say, high vibrational states, these more pleasant frequencies, you're going to become really intolerant to when you're not in it. Whatever you do, don't start cleaving your life to pieces like, oh, that relationship's not in the right, gone. That house, I don't want to live there anymore. That job, right? No, start injecting it into there as well and see if it changes, right? And one of two things are going to happen. Either that whole experience is going to shift and come into rapport with you, or it won't be able to stand you and it will leave and something else will take its place that's more in line. And so don't be afraid, like we were saying, people won't want you to change. Don't be afraid of all those people that aren't in resonance leaving you, because as soon as that they're gone and that space is open, nature abhors a vacuum. So something else is going to jump in its place that's more in sync with you. So your tribe is going to come to you. Right? Your tribe's going to be attracted to you. They're not even, you're not even going to know consciously. Just at this energetic level, you're going to be like feeling your way around, and then you're going to meet someone. You're going to meet people through people, just like Chris and Elizabeth here are tuning in. And so you just don't know where it's going to go. And the people in your future you probably haven't met yet.
Yeah, because they hold a signature in the blueprint or the energetic frequency of change of the person you are wanting to become. Hold already the frequency, or maybe they're even on the way to becoming them themselves. And when that happens, it comes together.
Yeah.
All right, dear brother. I have to wend my way. I've got a client now in the next 10 minutes or so.
All right, mate.
It's been amazing. Thank you so much. It's really awesome sharing. Every time I talk to you, it's always beautiful. Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. Thanks for training. That was fun. And thanks, Chris and Elizabeth, for tuning in. Hope to see you really soon.
I'm looking forward to hearing how that goes. Whoa. Yeah. If 3 mighty beings together.
If you don't mind connecting us, Aaron, that would be great.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, I'll do so on Facebook. That'd be awesome. Okay.
All right.
I'm not sure how to exit this. It's all.
We'll just pull the plug. Watch this. Ready?